Good morning and welcome to Write with Rachel. I'm Rachel and I'll be your guide today. We're live today from my studio in San Diego, California. I'm improvising everything as I go and writing right alongside you. If you're ready, go ahead and grab your favorite writing device, whether that's a notebook and a pen or your computer. I also encourage you to journal via spoken device by writing or drawing or even through creative movement. So today's prompt is called Spin the Wheel. I've already done the spin the wheel off camera today. I selected 6 quotes from famous writers, and this is the one that came up for us today. I will now reveal our starting point for our prompt. This is a quote from this writer, and the writer says, "You can always edit a bad page, but you can't edit a blank page." Great quote by itself. And now let's turn this quote into some ideas for a writing prompt. So let's say that you want to go in a creative writing direction today. What are some ways that you could take this? Well, you could always write a story about a writer who is struggling with the blank page, because we've all been there, right? However, they have a breakthrough and they write a bad page or two. However, there's a twist, and that bad page gets into the wrong hands, and chaos ensues. You could also write a story about someone who finds a diary. They're reading a story and they find a blank page. And then they have to investigate to find out what was on it. ... If you want to take this in a journaling direction, you could write about how it feels when you face a blank page. You could write about your strategies for overcoming a blank page. And you could also talk about your strategies for drafting. Do you allow yourself to write a bad draft? For my list makers, you could make a list of reasons to write a bad draft. You could make a list of quotes from popular writers. You could make a list of things to do when you're faced with a blank page. Or you could find a list, make a list of places where you might find a blank page, such as a journal, a diary, a sketchbook. etc. And now for the other option I like to encourage is the wild card option. For the wild card option, I encourage you to go in any direction. You can write about anything that came to mind when you heard or read this quote. Perhaps you thought about a book that you read. Perhaps it's by this author or someone else. Maybe there is another author who had a quote that's inspired you in your writing career, or really anything that you thought of when this prompt came up. So I would really encourage you to choose whichever direction feels most interesting to you today. In a moment, I'm going to ring the bell to signal the beginning of our writing time. We'll write for about 5 minutes or so. As I'm writing, feel free to take a peek and see the direction that I'm headed in. When the bell rings again, this will finish up our writing time together, and I'll take a couple of minutes and show you the process that I followed. If you're ready, then let's get started. And that's the end of our 5-minute writing session for this morning. If you're in a good flow, I encourage you to keep writing. I'm going to take a moment and show you what I was thinking about while I was writing. I started out with the idea of a blank page, and then I just kind of let my brain take over and started brainstorming a situation where a college student is in class and she hands in her homework, which was to write a short story. The professor looks at her page and says, "Why is your page blank? You are supposed to write a short story." She nods and says, "Well, this is a story, a very short story, a story without words, a story about everything and nothing all at the same time." The professor frowns, his glasses slipping down his nose. "A story without words? There can't be such a thing," I challenged him. "A story doesn't have to have words. You didn't tell me to write words. You told me to write a story." He sighed, shook his head. Helpfully, I said, "Don't you think this conversation is better than any word story? Wouldn't you agree?" He said, and dismissed me from his office. The next day in class, he read excerpts from the best stories to the class. When it came to my story, he stared blankly at the page, staring at the students, making everyone feel very uncomfortable. He handed my story to Mary and asked her to read it. She glanced down and then up, down and then up, and then she started to read, "Once upon a time, dot, dot, dot." So, my process today, what I was thinking about was a situation where you have a blank page, and then somehow I got this idea of kind of combining it with the Emperor's New Clothes story. So that's where I took it. You're always welcome to take my story starter and turn it into your own story to finish it. If you'd like, you are welcome to share what you wrote today in the comments. If you'd rather keep it private, that's perfectly fine too. I would love for you to join me again on Monday. I'll be posting a new writing session every weekday. And if you'd like to keep writing together, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for writing with me today, and I will see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.